What's up, Mod Squad? Today we are checking out the brand new Duo Destroyer. I think this might be the beefiest destroyer that's ever been made. So let's dive right in and see how it flies. Wow. Yeah. That thing definitely has some serious fade to it. That thing is insanely overstable. In this review today, we're gonna be comparing that to a stock Star Destroyer, so you get a good idea of how the Duo Destroyer flies compared to those stock models. All right, let's get into it. Before we get into how this disc flies, I just wanna talk about the Duo plastic in general, because there's been a bit of, well, misinformation out on the internet and even in my videos prior. Originally, I said that the Duo plastic was a metal flake star combination, and that's because, well, that's what it said on some of Innova's websites. However, with comparing and speaking to the community, it's actually a moon dust champion plastic mixed with a star plastic, creating this awesome divide that almost makes it look like it's hot dipped. Of course, it isn't. This is a molding technology where they've molded the two plastics together, but there isn't any sort of differences in the feel when you're grabbing the disc in different areas around the rim. Looks absolutely amazing while it's flying. And with my previous review, the Leopard 3 in the Duo plastic, which by the way, I'll link it down below, you should check it out. This has some significant changes to how the stock model flies. This is of course the Owen Scoggins Idlewild commemorative disc. And right off the rip, look how pretty this disc is. And it looks even prettier in the air. As part of this review, we're gonna be comparing it to a stock Star run. And right off the bat, I can already tell that this is going to be more overstable, but is it the beefiest run ever? Well, let's find out. To start things off, let's throw this on a flat release. We're throwing just straight. There isn't much wind. It is a bit of a cool day. We're gonna try and throw this as flat as possible so you get a good idea of how this disc flies with a standard flat release. Nice and low, but you can tell that it just goes straight and then really wants to hook up at the end. Pretty typical of a destroyer flight. Now, let's compare that to this Star Destroyer. Right off the rip, I can already tell that there's a lot more dome in that one, but I'll talk about all the different profiles and hand feel later on in this video. Again, we're gonna try and throw this on the same height and same angle, low and flat. Threw that on a bit of hyzer. Even though I threw that on a bit of hyzer, it flew relatively similar to that Duo Star, which probably means that it's a bit more overstable. I'm gonna go grab those. We're gonna try and throw them again so we get a good idea of how they actually fly on that flat release. Okay, let's throw these both again on a flat release just so I can get warmed up and we can get a general consensus on how this disc flies. Starting off with, of course, the Duo Destroyer. Again, nice flat release. Very overstable, but it still has a bit of glide thanks to that extra dome. Okay, next up, stock Star Destroyer. Same thing, nice and flat. Flips up, pushes straight, and then finishes like a destroyer, but there's definitely a bit more flip up in that Star Destroyer. Let's go grab those discs. We're gonna throw them back this way just in case there's some different wind things that are messing with these flights. So as I go and grab those discs, I just wanna talk about this special 2,000 subscriber giveaway that I'm hosting. For every video that I make until the end of the year, if it gets 200 likes, I'm putting a disc into a giant giveaway. Then at the end of the year, and after we've hit 2,000 subscribers, I'm giving all those discs away. So if you're liking the content, make sure you hit that like button. And of course, while you're down there, hit that subscribe button so we can get to 2,000 subscribers. All right, back into the review. Okay, one more time. This time we're going the opposite way just to see if there's a difference in the wind here. We're gonna start off with a nice flat release with the Duo Destroyer. Threw that on just a touch of hyzer, but you could tell that that disc definitely has some overstability to it. Next up, same thing, same throw, this time with the stock Star Destroyer so we can compare. That stock Star Destroyer is definitely straighter than that Duo, and it's not even close. Let's go grab those discs. We're gonna try and throw them on some different angles so we can see how they react. Okay, now that we've seen how they kind of react to some flat throws, let's go ahead, throw these on some hyzers and see how they handle the different angles. Starting off with this Duo Destroyer, gonna give this a nice hyzer. Probably won't flip up at all, just because it is overstable. Yeah, just holds that hyzer angle the whole way. Nice big flare skip at the end. Thanks to that high-speed disc. I'm gonna try and throw that on the exact same angle now with the stock Star Destroyer so we get a good comparison. That was the nosiest throw I have ever thrown in my life. Sick tombstone though. Let me go grab that. We'll try that again. Okay, attempt number 2. This time I'm not gonna throw this straight up into the sky. Hyzer release with the stock Star Destroyer. You can just tell that that disc flips up just a tiny amount, pushes, and then fades aggressively like a Destroyer should. So there's a lot more flip up in that early high speed than compared to this Duo Destroyer. I'm gonna go grab those, come back, we'll throw them on some anhyzers. So I know I already talked about that 2,000 subscriber giveaway, but it's all thanks to the Mod Squad community. So this is a huge shout out to all of you. Thank you so much for all the support. It's what's allowed me to make some cool merch, including hats, shirts, and discs. I'm still putting together a store so that you can get those. But in the meantime, if you want to, you can DM me over on Instagram and I'll make sure that you get that swag. Again, I honestly cannot believe that we're almost at 2,000 subscribers. It means so much to me, and I thank every single one of you for all the support. So I'm glad that I can give back with that huge 2,000 subscriber giveaway. Let's get back into the review. Alrighty, let's try these on some anhyzers now, and then after that I'll talk about kind of the side profile of these discs, the hand feel of them, where they fit within the stability lineup of Destroyers, and who this disc is for. Okay, some anhyzers. This thing is overstable, so I imagine it's gonna fight out of it pretty good. Yeah, wanted to fight out of it almost immediately. Still getting a really nice flare skip at the end. Same angle with the stock Star Destroyer. Nice anhyzer. Sure, this one will hold that anhyzer a little bit longer. Yeah. Still had that same kind of fade at the end because of course it is still a Destroyer, but it did want to hold on to that turn a little bit longer. I'm gonna go grab those discs, then I'll come back, talk about hand feel, side profiles, and who this disc is for. I moved us over into the shade so that hopefully we can see the profiles of these discs just a little bit better. As you can tell, and as I've been talking about, the Duo plastic is just that much more domey, and it's not even close. I bet you can hear the heartbeat on this one versus, well, just the flat kind of stock one, there's just nothing there. So right off the rip, this has a much higher parting line height, which of course is going to make it more overstable. On top of that, usually Champion plastic just is more overstable again because of that parting line height than your standard Star disc. What I will say is that this plastic does feel really nice. It's not as firm as Champion plastic, but it's also not as flexible as Star plastic. It's kind of right in between the middle. It definitely feels more like Champion than it does Star, but it's not slippery at all. In fact, I find it to be really good even on this relatively cool fall day. On top of all that, it looks absolutely stunning, especially in flight. As it spins in the air, just the Duo disc just looks so pretty. At the beginning of the video though, I asked if this was the beefiest Destroyer that's been made, and honestly, it's up. I'd say this is close to those 2021 Halo Calvin Heimberg Destroyers in the sense of stability. So at the bottom, we've got those Evelina Swirly Starred Pro version Destroyers. Then we've got your stock Star, Champion, Halo Star. We've got Duo plastic and Calvin Heimberg Halo Star Destroyer. So yeah, this thing is super beefy. So then who is this disc for? It's definitely for those power throwers that can throw well over 400 feet, or players that are looking for a disc that can fight any sort of headwind that you might find on the course. Because of the dome, I would find that it's maybe not the most comfortable on forehands, but it can definitely handle all the torque and power that you would put into it. The slower arm players may find this useful for utility disc too, especially if they're fighting some serious headwinds. This disc has been out for a little while now, so let me know in the comments below if you've given it a try and what you think of it. That's it for this review. I'll catch you in the next one, and as always, get out and throw.